it's Tori here and welcome to my new YouTube channel. I am so excited to be doing this. So to start things off, I wanted to do a Q&A video, so I asked you on Twitter and Instagram for your questions. So let's just dive right into it. Let's start with the Twitter questions. What is your favorite Warped Tour year? Aside from the years that I was on the tour, I have to say Warped Tour 2010, which was the first year that I ever went, and that is just a solid year of throwback bands. We had Hey Monday and The Cab and The Somerset and Never Shout Never, and I saw The Pretty Reckless, which is one of my all-time favorite bands. So just all around, that was a really solid year. So I'm gonna go with 2010. How did you get your job on Warped Tour? So the pit reporter has been a job, it's been a thing for a really long time, because I remember watching TIFF in 2010, my first year going, and I just ever since watched the pit blogs religiously. So at the end of 2014, Warped Tour had posted on their social media that they were looking for a new pit reporter, and I was just like, hold up! Stop everything, this is my dream job, I must apply right now. So I submitted a video, which now looking back is an extremely embarrassing video, but at the time it was the best I could do. So I submitted that video and then sat in a fetal position for about a week waiting for Warped Tour to get back to me as to whether I was a finalist for the job or not. And then I got my email back, and they asked us to do a second video showing a little more of what we could do as a pit reporter. So the top 3 all submitted their videos, and Warped Tour opened it up to fan voting and asked the fans to choose who they thought should be the pit reporter for 2015. And here I am. I ended up with the job. I got it. So it was fate. I'm convinced. This next question is probably the most important question I'm gonna answer in this entire video. Guacamole or hummus? The answer is guacamole. How did you get into interviewing bands, and any tips for beginners? I have a YouTube channel called Rock Forever Magazine, which I started when I was about 13 years old because I just loved spreading the word about my favorite music, and I wanted to promote my favorite bands, and I wanted to do it outside of my MySpace profile. So I thought by starting publication I could reach a wider audience, and so I started doing album reviews and posting music news, and organically interviews became a part of that. And I started with bands in my local scene, just in my hometown, and slowly worked my way up, and I posted videos every single week and kept it up, and 21 years old, still doing band interviews. So as far as advice for anybody just getting into it, my first tip would be persistence, because you're not gonna get views and subscribers and big interviews within the first week of starting a channel, you know? And even if you're not seeing results right away, don't stop. And along the same lines, don't be afraid of getting a no because you just might get a yes. Request big interviews, even if you think you're not gonna get it, because you don't know if you don't try, right? Within my first year of having Rock Forever Magazine, I requested an interview with Ariana Grande, and I was like, well, heck nah, I'm not gonna get this interview. Why would I even bother requesting it? But I did anyway, and lo and behold, ended up getting that interview, and still to date, it's one of the biggest interviews I've ever done. And my biggest piece of advice for doing a band interview, the most important thing I could tell you, is to do your research and ask questions that a band has never answered before. You don't know how many times I've heard bands say that their biggest pet peeve is when people ask them the questions that they get asked over and over. How'd you come up with the band name? How'd you guys meet? What's your favorite color? So if you want to stand out and make a good impression, ask really great questions and show them that you know what you're talking about and you know the band, and people will be impressed. The publicists will take note, the bands will take note, and that's how you get more interviews, when you show that you're serious about what you're doing. Who was your favorite person or band on Warped Tour this year that shocked you the most? There's always so many incredible bands on Warped Tour, and I just feel like this year was so solid. There really wasn't a single bad band. If I have to pick one, I'm gonna pick Emarosa. They put on one of the best live shows I've ever seen. Bradley is a maniac on stage, jumping on things, climbing on things, jumping on people. You just never know what's gonna happen at an Emarosa show. So I just always loved watching them play, and they are incredible. 131 is one of the best new albums of 2016. Pick it up. And now let's get on to some of the Instagram questions, shall we? Why are you so hot? Mainly because I'm from Florida, where it is consistently 90 degrees, so I'm bound to be hot once in a while. If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? This is one of my favorite questions I got for this video, and it's a tough question to answer because there's a lot of things I would change about the world, but the first thing that comes to mind, I would say, is to end the exploitation and abuse of animals for human benefit. I just don't see a purpose of treating animals as horribly as we do when we can live happier and healthier lives without animal products. There's just really no point in consuming animal products or testing cosmetics on animals or wearing them. So I would just say, let's stop hurting the animals, you guys. How do you feel about Motionless in White? I love that band. So good. Favorite bands at the moment. I've been listening to a lot of Brand New, because you gotta get those emo vibes in there. Gotta be emo once in a while. Also love Moose Blood. They were one of my favorite bands on Warped 2015, and their new album is fantastic. Another band that I found out about at Warped UK that I really, really love is Creeper. Also into the 1975, they're one of my favorite bands. I'm probably missing a lot of favorites, but those are just a few that come to mind right off the bat. Could you maybe do makeup tutorials or a style tips video? That's definitely something I want to do on this YouTube channel, so comment below if you want to see some makeup videos or if there are any specific looks you guys maybe want to see. It's definitely something I'd love to do. Hey Tori, all-time favorite band. I'm gonna go with Let Live. They're a band that really impacted me in a huge way because I think they made me so much more socially aware. Their lyrics are so incredible, and Jason is one of the most inspirational people I've interviewed, and I just think they're a brilliant band. Any of their albums are great. Black is Beautiful, Fake History, their most recent, Let Live, hands down. And what is Warped Tour prom like? I love Warped Tour prom, probably more than anybody else on Warped Tour. I get super into it. But really, Warped Tour prom is basically just one of the after show barbecues, which everybody just hangs out and winds down at the end of the day. That's what a typical barbecue is like. Whereas Warped prom is basically the same thing, except everybody dresses up. They decorate a little more. There's Warped Tour Prom King and Queen, which is great. And it's kind of just your opportunity where if you've had a tour crush, you can ask them to Warped Prom, and that's your chance to make your move without it being weird. But yeah, I got super into Warped Prom King and Queen, and I campaigned really hard this year. I ended up with 2nd place for Prom Queen. Congrats to Sabrine for getting 1st place. Next year will be my year. What is your favorite stop on Warped Tour? Alright. That's the beautiful thing about Warped Tour, is that we get to travel to so many different cities. We go to over 50 cities in 2 months. I think my #1 pick for Warped 2016 would have to be the Las Vegas show. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but we were right on the Vegas Strip at the Hard Rock Hotel. And there was one stage that was literally at the pool. So fans were in the pool watching, like, let's say Knuckle Puck, starting a circle pit while they were swimming. It was crazy. And then we also had to walk through the casino where a couple stages were inside in venues. So that was super cool. So just all around Vegas was just unlike any other Warped Tour show I've ever been to in my life. And I loved that so much. What memes interest you the most? I gotta go with the Arthur Fist meme. That one is really solid. What can somebody do to work at Warped Tour? My #1 advice would be to reach out to some of the nonprofits and the sponsors that are on the tour. For example, I know Feed Our Children Now looks for volunteers every year, and there's some other nonprofits that do as well. So just reach out to them individually and see what opportunities are available. And then, what is it like doing the pit vlogs, and how long have you been doing it? So I've been doing the Warped Tour pit vlogs for 2 summers now. I started in 2015 and then came back again for 2016. My daily routine would be that I wake up at 7:45 a.m. every day, sometimes a little bit earlier, and I'll spend the morning editing the pit vlog from the day before. So I'll usually do that until around 10 a.m. when all of the set times for the bands get announced, which, yes, the bands and crew find out the set times the morning of, just like everybody else. So around 10 I go to production and get my set times and figure out my schedule for that day. And then I usually film the bands and film a pit vlog from 11 a.m. when doors open until around 7 p.m. when the show ends. And then I go back to my bus, import the footage from the day, edit and post another video, and then repeat the cycle. So it's basically a never-ending cycle of editing, filming, and posting videos every single day. And was it difficult getting into the interviewing business and getting intimidated by well-known band members? It was definitely challenging. I mean, I did Rock Forever magazine for about 6 years, and I'd say for about the first 3 years, it wasn't consistent. I was doing a lot of local band interviews, and I wasn't doing interviews often, and I was getting a lot of no's, and it takes time to prove yourself and show that you're credible and you're serious about it. And as far as getting intimidated by the band members, I was so nervous at first when I started doing interviews. Mortified, I'd say. I would be shaking, it'd be hard for me to talk, I'd jitter and stutter, and when you're trying to do an interview, that's probably the worst thing that could happen. Over time, I just started realizing that the band members are just normal people that happen to live really cool lives. So I think once you realize that they are just normal guys and gals like us, it takes away some of the nerves. Also, I realized that by being present and clearing my mind and taking deep breaths before interviews, that helped a lot with the nerves because I wasn't getting so lost in my thoughts beforehand. So that's definitely one way that I coped with the nerves or getting intimidated or anything like that. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear what kind of videos you want to see coming up on this channel. Maybe some makeup videos, concert vlogs, cooking videos, you name it. So comment below and let me know. And if you want to stay up to date on what I'm up to, you can follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. I'll leave the links in the bio, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye guys!